Hey, welcome to the MicRentals podcast. I'm your host, Steven Arruda, and this is episode number 11. This is a continuation from our interview with my dear friend, Jesse Burr. So thanks so much for listening. Man, but in 2016, Andrew started doing started doing the MXU events. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of like a whole nother neat little thing. Did you ever do any other stuff with him outside of church that was not necessarily MXU? I knew you jumped in later.
Oh, yeah. I went with him and did all sorts of different shows and events and stuff that had come up. Like, I didn't do, like, we had one Christmas basically off from actually doing big Christmas services, so he went and did a Psychedelic Furs tour. He just picked one up because, well, it's like, I got time.
That's great.
Need some extra money.
Oh, my goodness. I think then he picked the show up. It was the Dallas String Quartet, and we all went down there.
Yeah.
That was a big, rental for us.
That was a big deal because, they wanted him to come and do the show in the first place. And then it became, we're going to do this big thing where we're going to record the whole show. So we need multi-track from the audio. There's going to be video happening at the same time, and so a bunch of us went down there to help with that one.
Because by then we've went through the SSL changeover.
Yeah.
You've told me the story, and we don't have to get too deep into that. Where you went to Vegas, I think, with him to shoot out.
We went out to Las Vegas to look at SSL and another company.
Yeah.
But we wound up going with SSL. Just the workflow, the way it sounded, everything seemed to work better with how we were working at the time.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
It was going to fit better into our analog workflow.
Yeah, for real. I remember you ripping out all those dang snakes, all those snake splits.
Those are good days.
Yeah, and then
any day over there where I could rip stuff out and throw it away.
Oh, sure.
It was a good day.
Yeah, it just made things sound better. Yeah. All these extra cables.
I'm done with this. It's fine.
That's great. That's great, because then 180 ended up getting one, and then BA went over to that, and then of course South went over to that, and I sadly I haven't really touched one in 4 years, and I do miss it. And I'll be standing near Corey like I was with him at Infocom a few weeks ago, and I'm just like, I miss you. You're still calling out. But in those other things that you guys went out and did, he started doing MXU stuff, and then he was like, hey man, I'm doing this. Was it All Access? Was that the first thing you did?
No. So he and I were sitting around in his office, as we were apt to do.
Yeah, coolest office ever. Yeah, I could just sit there for hours.
Such a cool space to come hang out in. And so I would usually wind up hanging around on the normal work days, hanging around later than everybody else, because I'm just going to I want to make sure you leave and go home. Don't just. I realize you have tons to do, but go home, please. Go home.
There was one night after a service, I just went to say hi to him. Mm-hmm. I could tell he's been there a long time, and I don't think he was going to go home anytime soon. So Christine and I went and got him dinner and dropped him back off.
Nice.
Yes. It was just seeing people,
We were spending time after a lot of Sundays for a good span of time, basically remixing the entire weekend for it to be posted. Because we had started to multi-track it out of the best way I could come up with before we switched to SSL. Mm-hmm. And so we were going through just trying to figure out. He was having to remix the entire weekend before we could go home.
Ouch.
So it's great. When we switched to SSL, we had changed the workflow completely, and we were able to just, the broadcast mix as it is great. We just post that.
Yeah, and then you just add, because he did a whole thing on the Seeds blogs and talked about it at Philo, time aligning the mics and everything, and it's just it's your 2 mix plus the crowd mics plus the audience mics, or the 414s back in front of house.
All math that I had to sit down and figure out how is it going to make this actually work to be aligned.
Right. The theory on paper with stick figures and all that stuff, it's there, but just getting it all to sound correct.
Yeah.
At the same time, which what's funny is a lot of people for the longest time thought we had somebody else mixing in like another room.
Oh yeah, we got those questions all the time. It's like, no, you're hearing the front of house mix. Like that's fully intentional.
Yeah, and
we're mixing for both.
And the principle of that hasn't really changed much, has it? Yeah, I didn't think so, because I listened to a service this morning. And I was just like, man, this still sounds freaking good.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And it's one less person that you have to, one less technician or volunteer that you have to really train to run another console and to hear it. There's some guys who are really good at duplicating or reduplicating or producing from what they're getting to make it sound like you're in the room with everybody. That's not easy to do.
Yeah.
When I go to Passion, the Corey and Webster and CJ and all that, it's like, holy crap, guys, this sounds like you're in the room. But that's like the goal.
That should be the goal of somebody doing something for a live album of any kind or a live broadcast, should be to make it sound like you're sitting in the room, like you're a part of it in the room.
So last podcast I did, we were talking through the year 2019, and you were obviously, we were crossing paths like crazy. You guys were renting from us, but we got to do
we skipped over something.
Go, you tell me.
Sorry, I sidetracked
Andrew Stone. I said Andrew Stone, right?
No, we said that already. It's fine.
Okay.
I sidetracked us.
Oh, go for
with
it.
Another note. But you were asking me about MXU.
Oh, that's right where I was getting to.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so because we were getting to Anaheim, so go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were sitting around.
This is how our real life conversations go, by the way.
I'm telling you.
Go for it, man.
So we were sitting around. I think it was either during a Wednesday night service where we had somebody else watching the end of the service, or just sitting around after work one day. He was telling me, this MXU thing is kind of getting to the point where I kind of need a couple people to come out and help get this stuff set up and tore down and working, because like the three of us, we have our own stuff to deal with in that, but right now we're mostly leaning on manufacturers to come over and help patch cables and just figure this out, and that's really not fair. So is there anybody you can think of that might be able to do this to help us?
That's not suggestive at all.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
The way he stated it, it totally wasn't.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm just like, yeah, me and Andrew Swan.
Oh, yeah, that's what a great duo.
It's like it would be really great if we could go and do something that was a little bit different than what we've been currently into, and actually put some of this stuff to use for people.
Totally. I remember you guys showing up, and it was like, hey, we're getting the band back together. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah.
And he's handling the video stuff, and Andrew's not having to think about that or worry about it, because he knows.
He had been setting up cameras himself, and
then, of course, you would, from the system side.
Yeah.
What's funny? What wasn't gonna change is he was always gonna be like the first and last out, and it just like
it didn't matter.
No,
it
did
still
not
going to be there, even at the point where we had brought in Adam to help out with basically production, managing the event. Stone was the first one in the room, the last one to leave. Like we weren't leaving until everything was happy and ready to go.
So you got to do Saddleback, and of course that was a great experience. But then the All Access, that was very, very different.
Oh yeah.
I didn't go to any of them until 21. So Yeah, how did those go?
Yeah, that was a crazy challenge.
Did you have to do all the file conversion stuff, or was that?
Yes.
Oh dear God, sorry.
Only for. I only had to do. No, I had to do all of them. I had to make sure they were all working because it was me and I'm embarrassed because I'm forgetting his name.
Wasn't Joseph, was it? No. Stephen Bailey? No. I'm striking.
Steve Bailey was there.
Sure. That's right. Because it was the Waves Mansion, right?
From Bayside.
Oh, Tyler or Cody?
No.
Or Aaron Padilla?
Aaron Padilla.
Okay. Aaron, you need to text Jesse. Like, what the freak, man? It's all good. There's a lot of dudes from Bayside that we got to work with over the years.
I'm so horrible with names.
You're fine. You're okay.
Aaron, I love you, man.
Yeah. We'll see. You're gonna get a hot turd in a box in the mail.
Yeah, that's probably it. Anyway, so I was taking care of one room, and Aaron was helping take care of another room. So we're splitting duties that way because there kind of had to be a tech in both spots because there were wound up with stuff going on in both rooms at the same time. But somebody had to be around to make sure it all was still working. Yeah, it was a very neat concept. It definitely was working for the people could obviously afford to be there and get that time and attention because it was different to be a seat in the room versus like a seat where you're being critiqued as well. Yeah. And you also had to be prepared to handle. You had to be prepared for them to tell you it sucks. Your mix sucks. It's funny. I've been in that room too, and I'm just like, okay. And the way Andrew would ask the most rhetorical questions. Mm-hmm. He would ask me, "Is there a reason why your makeup gains +10?" I was like, mm-hmm. I don't remember it getting there. Look at me like, you're the only one here on the weekend. And I was like, okay, probably 1 dB for the last 10 weeks. Uh-huh. every week. It's your mixed creep. Oh, it is. And it actually, I think we're all guilty of that to some point. But he would, that's actually a good thing that you brought that up too, is like, I love it when he would come to our campus and just like dial some stuff back in because it could get loose. I mean, we're on a little bit of a time crunch setting that up. And I was completely guilty of you're right, creeping things in. Or if we would switch mics back out, he would feel obligated to dial everything back in. I was like, come out whenever if I have to switch mics out every other weekend just to get you out, it's great. No, but he made all of us look really good by getting stuff dialed in. He would always be like, I just handed you the keys to the Cadillac. Keep it out of the ditch. Yep. Doing those all access events though were great as just getting to sit as, like third party in there as all these critiques are happening. Yeah. And I'm listening to all the different guys come through and talk to all the different guys in the room about, how to improve their mix, or you don't suck. Mm-hmm. Your mix may suck at the moment, but you don't suck. Sure. Like you can get there. It's fine. Yeah, don't take it too personally. Don't take it too personally. You may need to just start over on this, but you can get it there. It'll be fine. And there's some communication that also has to happen with you and the band too. That's always the thing that we're bringing up is like number one is actually go talk to the band. Correct. Do you know who the drummer is? Correct. Yeah, so we did, Anaheim, you guys did All Access. I was trying to figure, you guys might have even gone to Sweden that year. Oh, yeah, we did. Guys, we did, yeah. Guys sending me freaking pictures of you guys flying over the polar ice caps. It's like, how cool. How can I get out there? And it's like, it just made no sense whatsoever. MicRentals, Sweden. Yeah, that was a crazy trip because, we went and did Sweden and then flew to LA from there. Oh my gosh, you guys! Oh, I forgot about that. It's direct to do, the event down there. Unreal, and it was great. The attendance was continuing to grow. I left off last episode talking about MXU Philo 2019. That was like the biggest crowd I've ever seen there, and it was great. Robert Scoville was there, and just the back and forth, and it was just.
Yeah, it was just perfect,
Yeah.
and it seemed like, gotta be honest, man, it seemed like that was gonna last forever. When things just are hitting on every cylinder,
Yeah.
they just
At
seem
that
like,
point, it was like, okay, what's coming up next? Because this is all really, really cool, but what's going to come up next?
man. And I think there were I think there might have been 2 to 3. I can't remember, but my guess are maybe 2 to 3 events left to do that year, possibly maybe 2.
Going to be one after that. I think we had a Florida event
Yeah.
scheduled.
But then we got to the month of July, and like all of our lives changed.
Yeah.
Big time.
We had the best first half of the year anybody could want, with everything that was going on, everything we got to go do. We got to go see and do some really amazing stuff along the way. We went down to southern Oklahoma to do a conference down there, where we got to have the band from Church on the Move came out and did a night of worship as part of that conference that was down there.
Yep.
And Andrew had been mixing that one for...
Was that Victory Life Church? Is that what that? Okay.
Yeah, it was Victory Life. We did 2 years of that? 2 or 3 years.
Nothing like a church conference at the casino.
Yeah, it was great. Oh,
The coldest room on the planet.
I love that room for that.
It's like 60
It
degrees.
was so cold.
That's awesome,
Like,
man.
had to come in the middle of summer.
Every
wearing a
time I
jacket.
drive by the
It's
Choctaw
perfect.
Casino just outside of Durant, I'm just like, I think about you guys. I never got a chance to go, but all the stories you would
Yeah.
tell and things like that.
Yeah,
How great.
it was. Yeah, super great. And then we did a big 4th of July event for the church. That was a big outdoor event with, I think we did fireworks that year and everything.
Probably.
We had brought in...
So our anniversary for the church is always around the 4th of July.
It is 4th of July
It
weekend.
is, yeah. So we just like kind of, hey, merge these together.
Yeah, like the craziest time for a church to be started, around a holiday.
Right.
So we did that. We'd brought in a bunch of gear from one of the satellite campuses to cover that. Just blazing hot that year too. Got through that. Got through a really great weekend. Like sat down with him after the Sunday service, and he's just like, I can't do anything to make those drums sound any better now. Even
He had the Mojaves on him. He had the DM20s, and
that kit would have been the B kit.
okay, so that had the Soyuz on them at that time, I think.
What we consider the B kit, but only because we had one kit reserved for a primary drummer and one kit that we used for all the other drummers.
Yeah, no doubt.
Not from Mike's selection or anything. It was just because we had both kits covered with very similar packages. They were just 2 different flavors of it. But he had it dialed in, and he's like, I can't make that sound any better. Like, that is like the best drum sound I think I've ever gotten.
And so, a pretty hot day that week. And then it seems like we blinked, and July 9th, we got what I would consider some of the worst news of our lives.
Yeah. It was basically a normal day. Everybody's going about their stuff, and then the world flipped.
If you don't mind sharing, like, how did you get the news?
Well, I was there.
That was semi-rhetorical question.
Yeah. I mean, I was there in the office, and after everything happened, I was asked to go pick up his wife and bring her to the hospital because they were holding off on telling anybody what his condition was at that time. And as soon as we got there, got sat down, the hospital staff figured out that, okay, that's his wife that's here. We can tell her now, and if she's okay with everybody else knowing, then found out that he had not made it. He had passed, and everybody lost it, and I probably lost it the most.
Sure, because my sister and my niece were visiting, and I was gonna. I just got back with lunch with my sister, and a mutual friend of ours' wife called mine and told me, and it was just like just kind of stared at her, blanking, and I don't think I said a word. I just walked away and just sat in my by my front door, and just really trying to grasp sense of reality. And my mind immediately went towards, kind of in this order, thinking about Natasha, thinking about you, and then John, and then Brian, and then Christian, and Jareb, and Rachel, and just everybody on that team, Chico, Andrew, Tom.
Yeah.
And just started the after it seemed like every name, the weight became a little bit bigger. I think a friend of mine just so happened to call, and it's just like he was the first person I had to get it out of my mouth. And we only lived about a mile from St. Francis, and that's when we saw all of you guys. And didn't just see you though. It was amazing to see like pastoral staff.
Huge amount of pastoral staff and musicians that were all there. Whole production crew was around. It's crazy to see the number of people that showed up.
Yeah, he was more than just production.
Yeah. Like
far more than that.
Even had another outside friend who hadn't been attending our church anymore, but had heard and showed up. And just like, what can I do? Is there anything I can do? Anything I can help you with?
It was tough. There were people coming in and not knowing that he's gone, and just seeing their reaction for the first time. It's just like it would just be like the waves over the next 10 days were just like, you feel
over and over again.
You feel like you were like good, and then just bam, would hit you again. Of course, seeing Natasha was just like, another thing, and just like everybody became ready at her disposal, whatever you need. It just ask, it's yours. That day going to bed I'm sure it felt extremely weird, but for you guys, you still had a service to do.
We had an already scheduled day off that we all still took off so we could go home and breathe and try to get ourselves back together. But then, we all still had a weekend to go do still. Because
it's funny, it was a little bittersweet that weekend. I think Ethan Vance was returning from Bayside, and that was like a big announcement, right? And he was going to pastor the Broken Arrow campus. And I still have to commend Whit for how do you segue from making, because Andrew was his friend too.
Yep.
No matter how much they fought so much, but they always wanted the same thing.
That was one of the best parts about being friends with him, was fighting with him.
And it was just, oh my gosh, but it was amazing. But he was a friend of his too. But for him to get through a church service and have to go from that to segue into welcoming Ethan back too, because that was still a real thing at the same time.
Yeah, because like he and I and Andrew Swan had all gone out to do. We went out to do an event for Bayside. There was their staff conference, and they didn't want any of their guys running it.
Lake Tahoe, right?
Lake Tahoe.
Jerks.
That was a great trip, too.
I'm sure it was.
It's a great little place we found down there to eat and enjoy other things. But we did that conference for them, and as part of that, as the trip, we went up to Sacramento to run the service where they were installing Ethan Vance as a pastor over the campus that was out
Bayside
there.
Adventure Campus.
Adventure Campus, yeah.
Yeah, wow. We had almost, I think I was looking back at it today, we had about 9 days before his service on the 18th. Just obviously before that weekend, it was a Love Day weekend. So good Lord, the demand on you guys was pretty intense.
Yeah, at the time, it was just like, the way those were running, it's like, yeah, production crew isn't volunteering for Love Day because, well, we have a whole weekend service to run as it is, and we won't get back in time to do what we need to do.
I remember I was doing one up on the lawn at 180, and Daniel Cannell shows up, and that was another moment where I just bent over and just I lost it, because obviously he was close connection, knew him far longer than I had, and he was out of town when things happened, and he was able to walk away from a gig he was doing because Corey Edwards, God bless him, came in and took his spot so he could come, so he could be home. And that's what going through this situation is, just for some people who this might have been the first time they've lost somebody this significant before. And I've lost parents and other people. It took me a long time to figure out if I ever wanted to walk back into a funeral ever before, and so just being there for grieving for people who are grieving and grieving with them. That memorial service that came up. I remember that morning. It was getting close to going to the service, and I get this, or it might have been that morning, and I get a text from Tone Stevens, and he's like, "Hey man, what's your address?" I was like, "Okay, he's sending me something." He knew about by then. Everybody knew what was going on. People were the tributes were unreal. I think Church Production Magazine did a tribute for him. There was video tributes.
Yeah, because he had been doing articles for them. For a while.
Right. I remember him doing a write-up on the X32 and some JBL monitors and different things like that. But the posts and it was just amazing. He's a guy just that didn't just influence our church, but like the church, and not just in the U.S., outside of that too. But he asked me for my address. I thought he was going to send me something, and all of a sudden Tone shows up at my house. This homie lives in freaking Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and just shows up, and that was like the beginning of the surprise, I guess, for that day, because like we got to the service and we had to have it in phase 3, which is our larger auditorium, and well over 1,000, I would say 1,500. That would be my guess, was in that auditorium, and it wasn't. And again, it wasn't all production people.
It wasn't.
It's like anybody at any time. I feel like that he had an interaction with, and he impacted them. Even it could have been from the smallest conversation. It just stuck. He knew how to take care of people. Yeah.
When we were talking about when the service was going to happen, I was telling everybody we need to not do this immediately. We need to offset the time, because there's a whole lot of people who are going to want to come that are going to need to be able to arrange to be able to be here. So if we don't have it immediately, there's a whole lot more people who are going to show up that want to be there.
And man, and you start thinking, I think my thoughts were like, guys aren't going to run the service, right? And so I just wanted to take a minute to, number one, thank everybody that came to that service and honored him and Natasha. It was huge. Support her. It was huge. Just seeing all the faces that and all the relationships I wouldn't have if it wasn't for him. People checking in on me, and then just checking up on the team. The level of support was unreal. But then, you guys had Tyler Kaneshiro from Bayside. He mixed. And anybody else step in to help for service?
We had Adam Taylor there to basically production manage, TD the service.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think we had a bunch of volunteers run all the other spots.
Yeah, that was, and it was like one of the longer memorial services but I wasn't even paying attention. They could have gone for 2 hours. It wouldn't have bothered me whatsoever. It's just like, can we stay in this building just for a little bit longer? And the tribute that they did video-wise, and you had, Point of Grace, and then Mac Powell from Third Day, and just all these people videoing in, and then of course Pastor George, who
he couldn't be there because of other things he was already committed to being at, but he wanted to, But instead, they were able to at least shoot a video. And
Yeah, that was a big deal just because it's just something, I don't know. Pastor George kind of comes from that kind of old school. He's a pioneer. It just is. There's just something about his stamp of approval that just means so much, and for him to like, of course, we all knew that.
Yeah.
But that was the first time like anybody probably him saying that in front of everybody.
Yeah.
But goodness, and so I know. Guys, I know we're going long. I'll pick up on this. And we'll talk about it after. I know the next, because you're here now. So if not to spoil alert, Jesse's here.
Yeah, obviously I'm not at the church anymore.
So you've been with us since October 2019. How? Good Lord, that's 3 months between the time that happens and the time that you're here. You took a break, right? Somewhere.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So in dealing with all that, because like that was the first, like you were talking about, like that was the first major loss in my life. I had lost relatives along the way that it had never really hit me as hard as it would some. This was the first one that really hit me hard because this was somebody I was spending day in, day out with. I had been supposed to had a scheduled vacation that I was supposed to take around that time. I wasn't able to take because I wasn't going to abandon the rest of the crew at the time, and I didn't want anybody else to mix during that time.
Right.
It's like, no offense to anybody, I don't want the quality to drop. We're not doing this. We're going to have this.
You're protecting the legacy at that point. Like, yeah. I totally get it.
So somewhere after that, I'm just realizing I've got to step away for a while. And I went and talked to senior leadership to arrange taking a couple weeks off just to not be there and go deal with things. And when I came back, we had a meeting, and it was very obvious, like, my time here is done. I need to move on.
That can be tough to admit to yourself.
Yeah.
But we just need that space, and in preparation for this, we were talking about some people have probably gone through something like this similar, and either whether a big connecting piece like Andrew was is removed, or is it time for you to remove yourself?
Yeah. At the time it was like I'm not down for building another team. It was great. I loved doing that in the first go round. I just didn't have it in me to go build yet another team.
I think that says a lot too. You got to be honest with yourself, unlike what you're capable of doing and what you're capable of not. And being a production manager, that's kind of like another beast all on its own.
Yeah, that takes a particular set of skills, which was outside of not just my comfort zone, but definitely outside of my wheelhouse.
It's a draw.
Yeah,
it's a constant draw. And if you lean more towards the introvert side, you could end up being into a very dark place if you don't have something filling your tank constantly.
Yeah.
I see the good ones, and I've seen. I think we both can say to this. We've seen the good ones and we've seen the bad ones. You can tell when somebody's like just in the wrong seat.
Yeah.
On the bus kind of thing.
You saw plenty of those,
and that's good because you would have been miserable. And then like that would just make everybody else miserable.
It would have dragged things down.
Yeah. So you were floating around doing nothing, and I was just like, hey, stop being weird and come hang out with us. Because it was just me, Matt, and I still, right?
Yeah.
And I think you just hung out with us for like a day.
Yeah. It's just like, just come hang out and see what we're doing.
Yeah. And
okay.
I started thinking, of course, like just letting you see what we do. There was just, hey, if you want to help Matt with that wireless thing, it's just see how we're doing.
Yeah.
And things like that. What was really neat is to see kind of your eyes and your gaze widen because you were always on the outside looking in. Now you're like you see the process and you see the reach. And this is again a testament to him, MXU, and the reach that we now had, which is like, oh wow, okay, yeah, cool, that's Bayside, and then it's going to North Carolina, and this one's like going down to Houston, and then Florida, and then
it's going all over the place.
Some names you're actually recognizing where they're going, and that was. I started thinking, like, what would it be like if you were here? And you always have to, using the Jim Collins analogy, is like the right seat on the bus. And I was like, well, you're gonna have to take up a few seats because like we all have to wear multiple hats, you know, around here. But you ended up hanging out with us longer to the point where I felt obligated by the U.S. government to pay you. But there was no official hey, of course we got you onboarded and all that stuff, but there was no like, okay, here's your job description. It was just like, well, we all have to do you and I were kind of like the primary sales guy doing the rent quotes and all that stuff. And man, I gotta say, I couldn't be more proud of you for growing in the areas of adaptability. I already knew you were intelligent. And you knew the gear and all that stuff, but knowing that, hey, you're just the first two, there's going to be, fast forward now, there's 8. Yeah. And it's when you're thinking about adding people to your team, it's just like, okay, are they going to affect the culture now, or are they going to affect it, and are they going to affect it in the future, or are they not going to fit in the future? Yeah. So, number one, I'm glad you're still here. You mentioned something without mentioning it, is your loyalty, and that's something that never has to come to question at all. Because I saw you give up a lot of your things in your personal life and commitment to serving Andrew, and man. And geez, we could go on and on and on, talk about 2020 and how that year ended up, but that's going to be a whole nother podcast. Yeah. Might have to split this one up into 2 parts, but it was so well worth it, worth having you on. I got to say, thank you so much for being willing to do this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for hanging in there. If you listen through, if this gets turned into multiple episodes, we appreciate you so much. Hey, one of the big things that we love doing around here is letting people kind of try before you buy. So if you get a chance to try us out, use the promo code RENT15. Until then, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.